Welcome, class, back to Biology 101 with the American Bi Guy, a show on Bi TV brought to you by us. We're here every Friday night laying the foundations of bisexuality and curiously poking around with some of the questions that you submitted on askabiguy.com and askatomboy.com. Now, I am your host, the American Bi Guy, your friendly American bystander for the bi community. And that's another warm welcome to all of you bisexual teammates out there on the bi team, whether you are sitting on the sidelines or out there playing the field. I also welcome all you straight folks in the audience side kicking it with us today, and all of the gay community who are out there living their best lives as the world's ideal mascot. Now, today I want to introduce you guys to someone who I really admire and adore. His name is Ross. How you doing, Ross?
American Bi Guy, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. It is the weekend, so I've been relaxing and recuperating. Thanks for having me.
Of course, thank you for coming. And where can people reach you? Give us your Twitter, give us your handle.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So I'm mostly on Instagram, so you can find me on Instagram at Ross Victorious. I also use Facebook, Ross Victory, Twitter, Ross Victory, and of course my website, rossvictory.com.
Awesome, awesome. And tell us a little bit more about you. What do you exactly got going on?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So I'm based out of Los Angeles. I am a singer, songwriter, author. I'm also passionate about higher education. A lot of my story includes English teaching. So I started as an English teacher and also traveling. So I bring all of that into my art, and the music I create ranges from trap to like slow tempo R&B. So I just really like being authentic in my creativity, and of course sprinkling bisexuality throughout that. It gets baked in anyway, right?
I love it. I love it. I love it. You guys definitely check out Ross and his music. I certainly am a fan. I love it. I listen to it sometimes when I'm in the gym, turning up. Uh, you know, I didn't get the gift of being able to sing, which is weird because both my parents actually can have that music ability, but the
Ooh.
creator was like, "No, you're not going to be able to do that." So, so I support everyone out there, especially like I said before, being an artist and representing the community. I certainly love it because, folks, we all heard it. Like I said, Katy Perry, Kiss the Girl, liked it. Madonna, Britney Spears, Ariana Grande, they've all, made their music and great songs and millions on same-sex attraction. So it's really great to see another brother, another artist out there representing the community, living their best lives and giving us something to really enjoy and inspire us. So today, for today's lesson, I really we talked about it earlier. Wanted to ask you like what was bothering you. I know you guys used to hearing me, so now we're turning the tables away from me, and I'm giving you guys a chance to talk about what's on your mind and steer the conversation. So what do you talk to me? What's going on?
Yeah, I, you know, I work in higher education and around a lot of Gen Z, and actually on TikTok too. It's so inspiring to see Gen Z and teenagers with the whole topic about being bi. When I go on TikTok, I'm like, dang, so he's 18, 19, a lot more courage that I could ever access at that age. And even some of the kids at the school that I work for, like they can access courage. And so I guess what's bothering me is now knowing what I know now, it's like, how do I create more space for those bi teens? You know what I mean? I recently watched a video on Instagram where this 19-year-old was coming out to his parents. He's like, I have something I want to tell you. Like, I'm just going to say it. I'm bisexual. And actually, you're kind of on edge, but his parents responded nothing but love and support. And so I was thinking like,
Awesome.
damn, yeah, I love that. I love that too. And it's just like, I didn't have that, but also too, like I've had years and years of like coming to terms and processing and therapy. Like, how do we create more space for bi teens, especially for the bi teen dudes? Like, just to be like, I'm out here, I'm bi, I like who I like, carry on with it. So I feel like, that's something I've been thinking about today.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that's a really fair question. And I think that as, leaders in our community or, trying to grow one and create one, it's our responsibility to think about these questions and how we can, of course, better approach it. Personally, I think that sharing our experiences is going to be the best way. I mean, if I had a podcast or even that sort of thing when I was younger, to listen to on bisexuality, I think it would have been very pivotal and monumental for me to have someone share their experiences. I mean, anyone out there, you Google bisexuality, you might find a few, segmented groups here and there, but it's still something not really talked about, or you end up in like porn, and like I said, the whole purpose of this conversation is podcast and what we're doing, of course, to create a community that is, of course, family friendly, that can be looked at and people can go to it and be like, oh, okay, cool, that's really cool, I like that, rather than be something that's so like on a whole different vibrational level. So I think that sharing experiences, I mean, I like to start with either you, if you want, and I kind of piggyback in because I do enough talking on
Yeah,
me, like
of
being
course.
17, or, maybe when you first realize that, okay, you know what, I'm not straight, I'm not gay, and it may not have been so clear. And sometimes it's, one way or the other, you think. But just, for those out there listening, right, who are older or even younger, who, need this conversation, share your experience and maybe you'll be able to help them.
Oh yeah, of course. And sometimes I think about like when did I pinpoint the word? So I don't think that I had access to the word um bisexual at the time. I just remember how it felt. But when I talked to people during my teens, at least like my first boyfriend, for example, he was like, "Oh yeah, you were definitely bi at 17." But when I think back, a lot of my discomfort came from the woman side of things. So like I had acknowledged, like, okay, this is like the feelings that I have. But for example, I remember taking this girl out on a date to the movies,
Mm.
at this time period, like, okay, I've already, so like I'm bisexual or I'm multi-attracted, whatever. But for some reason, I didn't want to tell her because I was afraid of what she would think. And the feeling of myself just gave me a lot of discomfort. Like, okay, you're out on this date with this girl, like,
Mm-hmm.
but I felt it like, but you're bisexual. What is gonna happen when she finds out? Like, is she gonna think that you're whack? Is she gonna think that
Right,
you're weak?
right.
And so, unfortunately, that put me in a space of where I ended up ghosting her. Like, nothing was wrong. There was nothing wrong with the date. Everything went good. When you're that young, like at the
How
time,
old
I
were you
didn't think
too?
I was having sex. Like, I was probably like, I want to say between 17 and 19. A lot of
Okay.
this kind of stuff was happening between 17 and 19.
Okay.
But yeah, I ended up ghosting her because I was projecting like what is going to happen if she finds this out, and I just didn't know how to
Right.
cope with myself. You know what I mean? And I
Absolutely.
feel like knowing what I know now is kind of like, if she likes you, she gonna like you. If she doesn't, I don't know if you cuss on this podcast. I don't want to drop a F
No,
bomb.
you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah,
You keep it
if she
real.
don't want,
Yeah, this
yeah,
is a one take sort of deal here.
yeah,
Yeah.
if she don't want to fuck with you, she don't want to fuck with you. I would encourage the teens just to get in front of it. But also too, I didn't like the way that I felt, like with that whole disclosure issue.
Mhm.
So, I mean, talking to dudes at the time was just a lot more easy because you didn't have to face like, oh my God,
Yes.
is this gonna be my last date with a woman? Like that type of thing. You know what I mean?
No, 100%, brother. Thank you for sharing because I certainly agree with you. It's crazy because we live different lives, we live the same type of life, same experience. I do think that as men, um, we struggle with that, right? Like a girl could be like, yeah, I made out with that girl, or like she's hot, what have you. And society's like, yeah, like that's bonus, right? The boyfriend's like, yeah, my girl's making out with the other girl over there, right? That's super cool. But as men, we do sit in this place where how do I tell her that I am not like this other, like what she maybe initially thought? And then it's kind of like I'll agree with you. Like it's this uncomfortableness you have. Like when I meet a woman who makes the cut, right? I really like her. Whew, I'm a chocolate brother, but if I could turn bright red, I would. Okay, I will
Wow.
knock stuff over. I'll break like like I was like carton of eggs, like anything. Like I'll just start like a bumbling fool, you know. And I think that it's not just a a guy thing, but I think it's because I'm a lot more comfortable now, but because I know it's like, okay, well, I gotta tell this person, right? That hey, I'm bisexual. Now I do it off the back, so I'm a lot more comfortable. I still get nervous, just because I like the person, but I do think that a lot of men struggle with that, and that's why you have, which is a whole nother conversation for another topic, but that DL thing,
Yeah,
right? Like as
yeah.
brothers in the black community, that is you can be a murderer, you can do it, you can be a bank robber, but when it comes down to that DL thing, whoo, everybody tune in. I listen to Heather B. I don't know if you listen to Heather B live on XM, Sirius XM Radio. There's a channel called Urban View. And just on Friday, my mom was like, you got to listen to this episode. They were talking about that, like walking in and finding your partner with another person, but another person of the same sex. Men walking in finding their wives with another woman, and women walking in finding their husbands with such. And so that's a very, like I said, a whole different another day we'll have that topic. But I think it goes back to that. I feel so uncomfortable. Here in Denver, Colorado, people are very open-minded. I tell you once again,
So
people are
you've
like,
told
yo,
me, yeah.
yeah, you like it. I love it, baby. I went to a pirate costume party last night, and it was for people in the lifestyle. Which, for any of you don't know what that means, that they're not your traditional monogamous sort of people. 700 people, a lot of people there,
Wow.
and it was interesting to me because I of course saw men who I knew, who were obviously teammates on the bi team, and they had wives. Had great discussions with them and everything, and I really enjoyed being around these people because they're open. They've already kind of like they found their partner, right? And they're like, hey, like, here's who I am. And I think I aspire to be like that. And I think that we all could take a page from that, where we're just open with our partners and who we are. But when you're young and you still don't even know who you are, in the world, you
It's
got the
hard.
world telling you who you are. Like, we shouldn't be telling you this and that. You're like 18, 19 years old, you probably had an idea when you were 17 how you were feeling,
Right. And sometimes I feel like, I don't know if it's our generation, like as millennials, I feel like a lot of the younger kids, they're at least able to access the word. I mean, I don't know what their dating experiences are like, or if they find it hard to get a date, or if it's lonely, but I feel like language is an important component of that. And even looking back on my journey now, I was always interested, and this is maybe TMI, but I was like, I was always interested in like swinger stuff, but I didn't know the dynamics. I didn't know how it actually worked, but I was like, why am I drawn to like couples and but knowing what I know now, it was just, you're like, sounds like a little bi teenager and you're on this trajectory you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
just,
no, I get it, brother. I went back and forth. Like I said, I think I was like seventh grade, and I like as a girl was really very religious. I thought I was possessed by the devil. Prayed every day
wow.
before I went to school. When I brushed my teeth, to only look at the girls and not the guy. It was one guy in middle school and one girl in middle school who I was head over heels for. Same thing happened in high school, and it's very easy, and this is for anyone out there listening, to think that I'm just confused, right? Like I, just haven't admitted to myself that I'm really gay. And for some people, as I always say, bisexuality is a stepping stone for them to find out, do I really like cranberries?
Yeah.
But for some people, it really is who we are. Like, I like cranberries, just not every day, right? And so it's just carving out that space in that room, and it does look different for everybody, I think, and that's where the confusion is, right? Like, I talk to people, they'll be like, oh, well, who were you dating last? It was a male or female? And I was like, well, it was a male. And they're like, okay, in their mind, ding ding, this person's gay, right?
Well, see,
And I'm
I
like,
don't do, I don't do. I was in this a group, and there was a person. I was like, yeah, I'm bi. They're like, oh, well, who do you like more, or who do you prefer? And so now I don't answer that question in the wrong company, just because of the example that you gave, because they're not asking from a genuine place. They're asking to try to binarize it. Yeah, they just want to know, oh, okay, so yeah, so I don't answer
no,
that.
I agree with you. That actually goes to my point. So when I was in undergrad, oh God, this is like, I'll tell you, like 2007, right? And I knew, okay, and I didn't lose my virginity until I was probably like 20, I think. But then that time when I was like 18, 19 years old, I had gone to a school that was pretty mixed in Texas. I'm in like deep Texas, okay? And people would be like, so are you gay? And I had a good chunk of black and white, students. And I got that question. I've been getting that question my whole life. And so I would do the same thing. Okay, they would say, are you gay? And I'd be like, okay. And they were like, oh, no, 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 no. Like, are you gay? And I'm like, well, okay. And then that wasn't like satisfying for them. The reason why I would say okay, because I got to almost like, if I tell you no, you're going to be like, okay, yeah, this person's like, he's in denial. Like, I really think he is. If I tell you yes, you're going to be like, whew, okay, I knew it, right? But then at some point they'd be like, but is he really gay? They started
Wow.
to doubt that.
So did you have access to the word bi at that time?
No, I did not. I did not have access to work. It's like 2007. I remember.
2007. Okay.
I remember things started to go. Metro was a big word. I think that was the closest to it. I think Ryan Seacrest was still leading American Idol, and it was a big deal.
Okay.
And people were like, oh yeah, Metro, tight pants and fitted clothes. That was about as close to it, and like we danced around it. I think we do the same thing today with bisexuality. We dance around it, we dress it up, we call it different things. And of course, it is people's right to identify how they want to identify, but they're still under that umbrella, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about. But yeah,
and you know what else too, while you were speaking, what I think about is a lot of the work that I want to do now is it comes from that childhood and those teenage experiences. Like when someone's like, hey, are you gay, or you're gay? And it's like, that you're not, but you don't know what to respond. Like if I had that word access to bisexual, I would have said, no, I am what I am. But it's kind of like, I felt like there was no response. So now in my adulthood, it's very important for me that word, and the visibility is important, because to be stuck when someone launches something at you and you don't know even like what you are, what to respond back, that means a lot to me.
No, I agree with you. And like I said in the other video I posted earlier, I said you got to own up to it, right? Yeah. Maybe you really haven't figured out what your bi formula looks like, right? And that's fine.
Bi formula, I like that. Yeah. I like you with the. I like.
Oh, I love play with words,
Yeah, bi formula.
The bi thing, but it's true. Maybe you don't know, and the thing about it is that it will change. Like I'm at the point where there are some things about myself where I'm realizing like, whoa, I'm actually into something that I was completely not into when I was 20 years old. Like I'd be honest, maybe like I find cross-dressers attractive. I do, and it's not necessary. It's the fact that someone feels comfortable enough to, be comfortable around me that I found the most appealing thing about it. And I was younger, I was like, I remember with me and my boys, he was a gay guy, he's a gay guy. He's like, yeah, you do anything remotely feminine, I'm out of there, bro. Like, and I was right along with them, and now I'm older, and I'm like, okay, I think that's actually attractive on some, like I see it. Not everybody makes the cut, to be honest with you.
Of course.
Being in that space is what I found to be so erotic. And like I said, as you get older, life is a journey. It is a journey. It is a journey. It's a journey. And I think that it's okay to go slow, right? As you slowly kind of peel through things and find out, I don't like this, I do like that. And you don't always have to move so forward and so fast. And I love the gay community. I love all of them, all of you out there, but the gay community, put out or get out, right?
Yeah. I'll just keep it real. From my perspective, sometimes it could be very rigid and it almost comes off as kind of toxic. It's like you don't have to judge everything that you feel and everything you experience. Give yourself permission to be into who you're into. Like even like y'all, you're saying, I have a type, but it's like if my eye goes this way, then my eye goes this way. And I've actually, as an adult, I even now have to give myself permission. Like, hey, it's okay. You think that person's ass is fat? Like you trying to be up it, like give yourself permission, because it's healthy to do that. It's healthy to do that.
I did learn that in my last entanglement that I was in for an
entanglement. Okay.
Thank you, Jada.
Jada.
It definitely, creating that space and that permission. And I think that based on what I saw last night at this Halloween pirate themed swingers party with 700 people were RSVP, and I'm pretty sure damn near 700, if not more, showed up, that these couples were in a space where they gave each other permission to express how they felt with each other, about someone else. I ain't gonna lie, there was one person I was with my friends, and it was it wasn't just white people either. It was people of all colors. And I talked about this very briefly before I kind of got a little tipsy, and I don't remember what I said, but I remember this one black guy came up to me. He was like, "How you doing, brother?" Shook my hand. So good to see a brother in here. And my
Hmm.
two friends with me, they're white, and they were like, "Yeah, yeah," I was polite. Now, honestly, I don't know where this guy came from because it was a Halloween party, and he had on like a tattered shirt that was like cut up, like he was homeless. But he was rolling with these two women, and my friends were like, "Why is he here?" But what I was trying to say is that it was a space where there was a lot of black people there, and it was like the racist piece, or like the it wasn't really there. And I think that as we kind of carve out a community for bisexual or talk about it, we're in a unique space to, skip over the segregation that we see not, in the gay community, right? Like we see
Yeah.
a lot of it. And the bi community, and I talked to my friend about it, I said, it's very interesting because we're all open, and it's almost like the 70s where everyone's a hippie and everyone's like, hey, you're here, I'm here, let's have a good time, right? Let's
But
dance and
isn't
be
that the
merry.
definition? I mean, like if you think of what bisexuality is at its core, so if
Mhm.
you take away all the political, it is openness. I mean, it
Yeah.
is like it's just
It's
yeah,
yeah, it's unfiltered, unadulterated, and it was just this beautiful thing. Um, like I said, I don't know how the black guy got in because it was a mission fee. God bless him, he looked homeless. It was a couple
oh,
people that showed up at the party, like a couple Mr. Incredibles and a Frozone, and and that was interesting.
got some whole
But
characters in there.
I argue because I'm not gonna be vulgar, but I was telling my friends, I was like, I'm pretty sure this guy is with this couple, and he looked like he could take a couple showers, but he's probably carrying some serious meat because I'm not seeing why else this dude is like,
And those gray sweatpants, like
yeah, like this man must be packing. And my friends were like, really? I
wow.
was like, no, that's why he's here because he is not bathed. We're not going to the 7-Eleven with this man.
Do
But
your
he's
friends do your
probably.
friends do your friends freak out when you make comments like that or when you compliment people, or are they cool?
No, actually, we had a really great discussion last night about it. They said, Devon, it's interesting because I have like this really good sense of humility where people, random, if you ever walk or hang out with me for a day, random strangers, you're going to see they're just going to walk up to me, talk to me. I could be going down the grocery aisle looking for spaghetti sauce, and somebody will just stop me and start talking to me about their life or what have you. And I've gotten to a point now, where I'm like, okay, thank you, universe, is a gift. So I usually, I see, and my friend said last night, he said, you hear people, but you read between the lines, and I'm like, yeah, he said, and you'll be respect them and everything and be polite and just go about your way. And I'm like, yeah. So they usually know with me, they kind of want to find out what's your opinion of this
Yeah, yeah,
person. And
yeah.
I mean, that guy was obviously a teammate because there was way too many black men in that room for him to be like walking up and shaking my hand, and talking about so good to see a brother. I'm like, there's one over there who's actually the Green Lantern. What are you talking
No, but he's looking
about?
around the room and he's like, I want to talk to the buff one.
Yeah, he wanted to talk. And I'm like, okay, like I said, he's a teammate. It falls in his bi formula. He likes muscles, not attacking anybody.
Yeah.
But that's just a cool part about it. But I do think that as we carve out this community, and if you are bisexual, you will find that there's a level of openness that you will not. I won't say will not. You likely won't find, in the gay community. They're gonna tell you you're gay. They're gonna stamp you, rubber stamp you, boom. For the most part. Some will, give you that space and accept you. I think that the community is changing as we really start to come up with these terms, and express pansexual, heteroflexible, and everything in between. But there still is this kind of like presumption, you're just gay, you don't know it yet. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
And I think that that's very interesting. I was talking to somebody about that sentiment, like the whole idea of half coming out or half gay and all
yeah.
this stuff. I think those are very gay ideas because I
Mm-hmm.
think bisexual people know that it's not about half coming out or half
Mm-mm.
anything. It's like for
You're
me,
you.
it just feels like
It's you.
it's a
Yeah.
conviction. Like this word, this experience, it matches like what I feel deep down inside. And it's sad sometimes when people launch those types of ideas out because they really don't know about the experience. Let bi people tell the world who bi people are.
No, no, they don't. But that's what we're here for, right? We're here
That's
to
what we
share our
doing.
experiences, help. I always tell my mom, and my mom always tell me, like, if I'm helping one person, I don't care who you are out there, feel like, what, they matter and that they can relate, or it helps them to just kind of figure themselves out. I have done my job. I have done my job because it doesn't do me any good to take this to my grave when I'm 100 and something years old, right? Like I went to these things for a reason. I conquered them for a reason, you know, and I'm going to share it with the world. That's my duty as, the American bi guy. And hopefully, we can get some more people to share their stories and their experiences to inspire and grow together. I do think our community is very fragmented. We have, like I said, little pop-up groups, like little video pop-up groups in New York, here and there, but it doesn't seem to be a collective. Like I said, I've been going to different prides across America for a while, looking for bi representation. The pride here in Denver, I did see people walk around with the pride flag on them. A couple years before that, it was a lot of the trans flags and whatnot. And so the bi flag is starting to pop up, but I do think there's almost like this kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, you're bi, but people, I don't know, kind of like don't really like it, I guess, or maybe they're just not really still understanding it, if you will.
Do they find maybe it's so I've also heard sometimes, so I was on a Zoom last week and a bi elder, so he's 80 years old, his name is A. Billy Jones, but he was talking about how people in the gay movement said at the time that they didn't want people to come out as bi because they felt that it was distracting from the movement. And so I wonder if that's kind of what you're seeing is like, yeah, that bi shit is kind of distracting. We're trying to do something else over here. And that's a problem.
Very briefly, going back even to Heather B. So, Heather B. Live is a radio talk personality person on Sirius XM, like I said, channel Urban View. And she was the first, I think, she was on the first season of The Real World. She's a Black woman. Married, great woman, inspired. And when they had the reunion, I don't know if it's in Real World, but one of the guys up there is bisexual, and he said exactly that. They asked him about bisexuality, and they said, well, how do you feel, why didn't you come out? And he said, well, at the time they told me that I was getting this backlash where like you are muting the gay community from progressing, like you are confusing us, or it wasn't something that he felt. I mean, this is like 91 or 92. Wow. Then the first Real World came out. It's around that time. Forgive me if my years are wrong. Early 90s.
Yeah.
But he said, he's bisexual, but it was just easier to say I was gay. And there was a guy up there, I believe, who was gay, who's deceased now. May he rest in peace. And so they had a tribute to him as well. But it's interesting. I do think that bisexuality is nothing new. It's just been society telling us to sweep it under the rug, but the thoughts are still in the astral plane for many of us. It's still there. Overall, I think that all we got to do is just keep sharing our experiences and hoping to grow, and hopefully we can come together, at some point, and definitely just live our best lives, right? Like just be who we are embedded to be with our DNA the universe made us to be.
Absolutely. And I love that.
Thank you so much, Ross, for coming on. I really appreciate you. You guys, Ross will be back. He's one of my favorites, and you guys will meet some other people that Ross will be bringing in, as well as myself, and we can just have a full-on discussion and take this thing to the next level.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me and creating the space. And, I've been watching your content, very inspiring and, relatable and funny, and even just the experiences you've had in college and stuff. It's like, damn, that happens to somebody else. Yeah. And what's crazy is sometimes we think that our experiences exist in a vacuum, and it takes one person's act of courage to say, hey, this happened to me and this is what I've been through, and the other person be like, hey, me too.
No, we all live the same life. We see it sometimes on Instagram, with Black mamas. And the things they say to make these videos, you're like, yo, that was amazing me. But we're just humans, right? So we will be back next week with more, but that's all we have for you guys out there on Biology 101 with the American Bi Guy. I'll see you guys next time.